Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, it was our fault. We made a mistake. Spotter said it was clear. It wasn't clear, and, I didn't want to tear my car up, tear his car up either. I respect everybody, and I demand respect. And, I apologized to the guy when he came over the car, explained to him what happened, and then he took it to another level when he started calling me an idiot and whatever else. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not going to take it. I told him how I felt. I called him out. He didn't show. And so, I'm good with it if he's good with it, but I'm not going to be disrespected by no means.
Yeah, I guess I had a dinner date at Applebee's last night that I didn't find out about until it was too late. It's a shame. Love their riblets and boneless wings, but...
All right, folks, welcome back to Meet Me at Applebee's, your number one unrefined motorsports podcast. And it's Brien here with Ashley and Rob.
That's right.
Rob is back from Europe. I am back from Iowa. And we're here to discuss some corn and some other stuff. So, folks,
Shrimps.
Corn, shrimps, salmon, zins, whatever.
Yeah, man, I'm back. I'm back in body, not so much in spirit. We had quite the haul on the way home. I think it took about 30 hours to get home from Sweden. I had a nice little stop in Istanbul for about 10 hours in the shittiest airport on planet Earth. But I got a couple of duty-free Jim Beam nips that'll be going in my body today, and we're going to go ahead and welcome myself back to the Applebee's here.
Of all the things to buy in the duty-free, you buy Jim Beam?
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if you guys know this. Istanbul is the most expensive airport on planet Earth. Like, it's won awards for that, apparently. So, and we sat down at a bar and got a beer when we first got there after our first flight, and it was like 18 euros for a beer, and I was like, you know what? Like, there's no way I'm doing this sober. We got to figure this out, and I cannot take out a second mortgage to fund this hangover I'm about to get. But there's a lot of duty-free shops, and then Ben comes back from the bathroom, and he has a little bag in his hand, and he's like, I think I figured it out. And he opened it up, and it was just full of nips. And we're like, holy shit, where'd you get those? He's like, duty-free. And I was like, they didn't seal them up? He's like, nope. And so we went and later on in the night, I picked up some beers from there because they had 6-packs of whatever the fuck. And I got a few nips for me and Tyler because everybody else had passed out by this point. And but I didn't think about the fact that they didn't seal the nips up because they're actually certified by the FAA and most like global organizations. And they seal duty-free for security. And the beers are obviously way too big to bring on a plane if you're passing through any other security checkpoints. So I kind of screwed myself there, and the guy put the nips in with the beers in the sealed bag. And as soon as I got back to the seat, we watched a guy get arrested like 2 rows over from us for stealing a cell phone. And I was like, kind of looked around. I was like, there are so many cops around here, and this is technically illegal to just rip open a duty-free bag and drink. So I just let him sit there, and I brought home several Jim Beam nips and a 6-pack of Carlsberg from fucking Istanbul. That was my trip to Turkey. I did not get hair plugs. I don't need them yet. But, yeah, I'm going to drink one of those right now, and that was a very long way to say I'm doing okay. How you doing, Truelove?
Good. Just excited to hear about both of your travels.
Yeah.
So, we already had a long conversation about shrimp sandwiches before the show started.
They love their shrimp in Sweden. That's true. They also one thing they love more than that is mayonnaise, and it's on fucking everything. So. You might like this sandwich. Yeah, pretty much the national dish of Sweden, from what I gather, is this open-faced mayonnaise, egg, and shrimp sandwich that is cold, by the way.
Oh.
I didn't add that in there.
You didn't.
Let me sweeten the pot a little bit. It's the only thing that is cold in the country of Sweden, and Finland for that matter. But yeah, it was gross. I wouldn't recommend that. But yeah, I guess I can just talk real quick about the tour. Obviously, it's not racing related. There are a couple little racing points I can throw in there, but man, what a fucking time that was. I think anyone who's done any international touring knows that Europe is the gold standard for how it is to be done on every level. Just the professionalism of the crews, all the way down to the enthusiasm of the fans and how they show up. It was a wonderful time. We had a guy apologize to us for having only about 200 pre-sales on a show, and I'm just like, what the fuck? If only you knew, brother, like playing the fuck stick lounge in Dothan, Alabama, where they charge you twice as much for beers or whatever it is. But yeah, the festival in Finland was amazing. Huge crowds at that. quite incredible to be that far in the middle of the woods and have that many people there to watch country music in particular. Also, shout out to Ricky LeDuc and all the guys from Myron Elkin's band. They're all fucking awesome guys. Ricky, of course, I mentioned on the show a couple weeks ago. I knew him from Eldora, got connected through Kyle Armstrong, and we stood out in the woods for about an hour or two talking about Scott Bloomquist and dirt racing and all that and his racing endeavors. He races a street stock. He told me some stories about racing Winchester and just how badass that was. We might ought to have him on the show at some point just because he's such a cool guy. Also, shout out to Wade Sapp. You ever heard of him?
Yep.
No.
He played the festival as well. I didn't know this about him, but apparently he went to NASCAR Tech back in the mid-aughts.
I knew he was a NASCAR fan.
I didn't know that. And so we sat around and talked about racing for a little while and drank some beers. And yeah, he's a great guy too. But yeah, it was just crazy to be out in the middle of fucking nowhere in Finland. And that's not that Finland is the middle of nowhere. I literally mean it was out in the country, like on a lake. Like there's nothing around there. And to be standing around bench racing with a bunch of guys in a place that we're all about to go play in front of a few thousand people at. Was pretty surreal, and it was about as good as it gets. So yeah, we'll have Ricky on here at some point. I'll ask him. He'll probably come on and talk about some shit. But that was great. All the shows in Sweden were great. We had a driver named Igmar. This is the other little racing point in here. So to back up a little bit, we had to rent a van in Finland, and I had no idea that I don't follow WRC too closely, but I'd totally forgotten that Rally Finland was happening while we were in the country. And as we're renting a van, we had to sign a waiver at the rental counter. It was a special waiver for the week saying that we would not use the vehicle we were renting in any sort of racing or motorsports competition. Because I gather some people have rented cars and tried to rip the course and brought them back bent in half with no front clips. So we did not do that. But speaking of rally, our driver, Igmar, we kind of got him on the crew last minute. Kind of an older dude. Hasn't really driven many bands, if any, around at all. Just a friend of the production company. It turns out he's a big rally fan. And once he found out I liked motorsports, every day he'd come to me, he was like, hey, check this out. And he'd pull his phone up and we'd watch the stage highlights from the day. So it was
real wholesome.
Yeah, we were sitting on the ferry going out to Visby, and that was the first time I was like, hey, check this out. Look, I got stage 2 highlights right here. I'm just like, my dog. I was just telling about Eldora and all this stuff. It was awesome just to be that far away from home and still find a common love for motorsports and cars and all that stuff. And boy, they love their classic cars out there. I think I saw more like hot rods and like 50s Chevrolets and coupes and shit out there than I've ever seen in the U.S. in many years. They love their American culture out there, which I guess is evident in the quality of shows we have. But I guess that's about it. I don't want to. We got racing to talk about, and I really want to hear about Brian's experience at Iowa and at Knoxville for the 360s. But again, if anyone's listening to this who happened to be at any of the shows, thank you for making it such a special time. We will be back. And I got mad love for the country of Sweden in particular, and Rootsy Music, the company who put it on. Just fucking amazing people. And I can't wait to get back over there. And maybe next time we'll plan it out right, and I can actually see a couple stages with my boy Igmar in the flesh. Get hit by a fucking Toyota Yaris or something out in the woods.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you had such a great time over there. We're very happy to have you back.
Yeah, also shout out to Buddy for hopping in my seat for the day.
God bless him, because we would not have had a show last week if it was not for Buddy.
Yeah, I got an email from Buddy, God knows what time, with like timestamps and all that. And he's like, here's where Brian's mic died, here, and here, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, thank you very much for actually being a podcaster that knows how to do the tech end of things, because that all would have stayed in the show if it wasn't for for Buddy telling me about it. Yeah, we'll have him on again.
We did our best.
You did a good job. The show was fine. It went off.
That's fine.
So, Brian, you went to Knoxville. You went to Iowa. You ate a fucking tenderloin. You hated it. How was it? What happened? Tell me about it. What happened in that? I didn't watch fucking hardly any racing at all, so this is all news to me. So,
yeah, well, I mean, we'll start off with just as our normal rundown, because my trip kind of coincides with everything happening on the track. So, Yeah, Friday, ARCA was at the track, which I was not there for. I didn't get in till Saturday morning. I was there for Xfinity and Cup and then the Knoxville 360s. I did have the race on, but I wasn't really paying too close attention. I mean, it was really seemed like it was just Brent Cruz chasing Butterbean the whole time. Chris Wright made his triumphant return to ARCA, and of course did Chris Wright things and
Hell yeah.
Wrecked himself. I can't remember what happened, but I just know he wrecked.
He just cleared himself on another car and wrecked himself. So
Good.
lap
Good.
27.
Well, perfect. Then I mean, he's clearly in the right place. So I'm glad he's there.
Yeah, every time Chris Wright knocks the clip off of a car, an angel gets its wings. And I did see a star twinkle in the Swedish sky, and I thought maybe that's what it was. So it's good to get confirmation of such.
Butterbean went on to win the race, which, it's pretty much shaping down to Butterbean versus Brent Cruz for the title, because there's only two guys that seem to win these fucking races. Ashley was, we were texting while this was happening, and Ashley was very shocked to learn that Butterbean is 27, which,
Old man.
I can't, while I didn't think he was 20,
I thought he was 20 for sure.
It does seem a little bit. I thought he was like maybe 23 or 24.
No, he's been racing late model stocks for a long time.
Yeah, I mean he's still young, but I guess compared, when you're racing a 16-year-old for the title, I mean he's not that young in comparison. But
no.
He's still fairly young, so he's doing well. And what was this post-race wreck thing? I didn't catch that.
I saw a post on, I think it was Twitter, maybe it's Facebook, but the number 03 car, the pickup truck that was hauling it in a tow-behind trailer wrecked after the race and flipped over.
Oh, yeah, Alex Chubb? Yeah.
Yeah. Picture of that car.
Yeah. I saw Alex posting about that in the
That's a
shitposting
shame.
group.
That's a shame.
Yeah, that sucks for any small team.
Yeah. For sure.
Also, I don't think Brent Cruz is running ARCA full-time this year, so I don't think he's in the
He's
playoff
not?
running.
I'm going to look up the championship here.
He's only run 5 races this season.
But he's won, like 2 or 3 of them?
He's having a better year
Twice.
than most of the ARCA field is.
He's still 12th in points, having only ran 5 races. So.
Okay. Interesting.
Fuck yeah, he is.
All right, well then, I guess it's just going to be Butterbeans. Like, looking at the points. Well, Lawless Allen's close, but he's only got 1 win. Butterbean's got 5, so... Anyways, well, yeah, that's ARCA chat, because who the hell cares about ARCA? So, my trip started at 4 in the morning on Saturday. This'll play into my day later. Leaving Cleveland here, I think my flight left at like 5:30, and then I had a 3-hour layover in Chicago, and then I got to Cedar Rapids right about 11 something their time, because there's like an hour time difference between here and there.
Yep.
My buddy Greg from Wisconsin, he drove down from Wisconsin because it was only like 4 hours from him, so he just picked me up on the way, and he drove around all weekend. Let's see. So, Cedar Rapids was about an hour or so from the track. On the way there, wanted to get some food, and we stopped at a place. It was called like Iowa's Best Burger, and it was just some, gas station burger place, and it was fine. It was definitely just like frozen patties, though. So I don't know why they decided to claim that as being the best burger in Iowa, because it was definitely not the best burger I've had in my life. It was fine, but it was
best burger
not.
you've had in Iowa.
But, I guess, it's the only burger I had in Iowa, so I guess.
There you go.
I guess,
Top of the board.
I guess they're at the top of the board. But we were going to stop and get some beers on the way to the track, and luckily I looked at the ticket policy driving up there, because they don't allow beer in the track.
They don't.
I forgot. So even though this Rusty Wallace built the track and funded it originally, it is an ISC track now. Of course, ISC is shitty about that policy, so we had a few beers walking around, and I will say the one slight saving grace was the NASCAR fan zone. They were selling beers for $3 for some reason. Why, I don't know. But they were like cheapest beers at the track, and obviously it's right outside the fence. So we kind of just bounced back and forth there a few times during the day. Yeah. The last time we went back in to get beers, the kid doing security like barely even waved his wand at us, and then the guy behind him like saw me with my beer in my hand. He's like, you're not supposed to have that, and he's like, whatever, and just let me walk in with it. So
Wait, a fan did that?
I did that.
No, I'm saying a fan called you out, or the security did?
The security guy.
Oh, okay, I got you. I was going to say,
He was
what a
like, whatever.
bitch. But
Well, we also caught, like, we were watching other people go through security, and they weren't incredibly strict about checking bags, at least on Saturday. So, like, we're going to try to sneak some in. Sunday we did. We only got 2 in, but it was Greg had to sacrifice his sandwiches. He made some shitty sandwich and put it on top of the beers. And
Can't bring
they wouldn't let you
sandwiches in either?
Couldn't bring food or anything. You can only bring in 2 bottles of water.
Wow.
That was it. That's all you could bring in.
fucking whack.
But they were, at least Saturday, they didn't seem to give a shit. Sunday, I saw a bunch of stuff being taken out of coolers, but yeah, they took his sandwiches, but they did not take our beers, so we had a couple beers in there with us.
A small sacrifice.
Yep.
Security guards probably feasted after everyone got in the track.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I almost, there were a bunch of Uncrustables sitting there. I was like, I almost grabbed one just to fire down real quick. But anyways, so driving up to the track, I mean, it is, kind of like a lot of Midwestern tracks. You're just cornfields, and then all of a sudden, there's a fucking racetrack. And, even though, it's in the middle of nowhere and you would think traffic and stuff would be a little more of a headache, it really wasn't at all. Like, even Sunday, we were back on the highway within 15 minutes of getting to the car, which was nice. It's a small track. I mean, it's less than a mile long, and I think they only fit about maybe 30,000 tops. So Saturday was fairly full. I mean, it definitely wasn't a sellout, but I mean, it was probably the most well-attended Xfinity race I've been to in years.
Yeah.
I was reading that Iowa holds 24,000 fans, and last year they built like extra temporary grandstands that held 45,000, but they didn't do that this year. So
yeah, you could tell like they had.
I think that was part of the Hy-Vee deal with IndyCar. They had built extra grandstands for that purpose, and then IndyCar stopped giving a shit about it, and then the grandstands went away.
Yeah. So yeah, we roll up to the track, and practice had just started for the Cup Series, and we were drinking beers and just kind of walking around, and all of a sudden, you could hear the on-track action stopped, and I looked at my Twitter, and Kyle Busch had just wrecked, so there's a red flag for that, obviously. And
that was a pretty hellacious hit too.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, I was shocked to see him finish where he did on Sunday after that, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. But he seemed to be okay. Like I said, walked around for a bit, went in and watched qualifying, and then we went back out and walked around some more, and we ended up like bullshitting with the guy at the Ford trailer because I wanted to get a Priest hat, and I ended up talking Greg into buying the Cinedust shirt. And
nice.
I wish I could remember what the guy was talking to us about, but he was like just talking about merch sales and Gravedigger shirts and the Cinedust shirt and attendance and all sorts of stuff. It seemed like there weren't too many people at the Ford trailer that day, so he didn't have much to do. So he just
unloaded on you.
He just seemed to have a good time talking to us. But in the meantime, around the corner there was like a little gathering of people, and I look, and Sheldon Creed's just talking to people. So we go over there, and they did a group shot of a bunch of kids and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know who took this photo and where it'll end up, but I'm standing right over top of Sheldon Creed in the photo, so you'll probably see my big dumb head in there.
Nice.
And then ended up getting a photo with him afterwards. Didn't get any of my bet money back out of him, unfortunately, but
as you said, to give it an invoice.
Yeah. You owe me $36. But then from there, I mean, we just kind of, walked around for a bit until the Xfinity race stuff started. And, as I mentioned, my day had started at 4 a.m. that day, and I didn't really get a whole lot of sleep the night before, and didn't sleep incredibly well in the Chicago airport. So, needless to say, the first stage, I might have drowsed off a little bit and missed a few laps, but I got my second. Yeah, I got my second wind. I think before the end of stage 1, I kind of snapped out of it and was awake for the rest of the race. And overall, the Iowa facility is fine. Like I said, not allowing food and beer in there really sucks because, the food, the prices for shit in there was pretty expensive. Like I didn't eat anything at the track all weekend aside from ice cream sandwiches that were like $7, and it was just all food trucks. They did have their own food, like they had their own booths there, but I think the top of the menu I saw was like some brisket burger that was like $18. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to be buying any of this food all weekend.
Istanbul prices right there.
Yeah, it was that's definitely one check mark for the no thanks to coming back here list.
Yeah.
But I mean, the track itself is cool. There's not a bad seat in the place. I mean, both days we had really good tickets, and we could see everything, and we weren't even like as high up as you could get. They were just like middle of the grandstands, but you could see everything. It was perfect.
Was it assigned seating for Saturday, or was it just kind of a free-for-all?
I mean, I think we had assigned seats, but we kind of just went up to our section, and our row was fairly empty. Like there were a couple other people, so like, Sunday it was pretty packed, but Saturday, I think it was fair. It wasn't as packed, so it was somewhat loose. Like nobody was kicking us out of our seats.
That's
or
cool.
anything like that. Yeah, I mean, as far as the race itself, I'm trying to even remember what the hell happened. I mean, obviously Sam Mayer won, and we like walked out as the last lap was finishing because we didn't really care about that.
You didn't want to stay and watch him do his Superman pose?
No, and well, we had to get to Knoxville anyways, but no, we didn't care about any of that bullshit. So yeah, Truelove, what are your notes on this race? Because I mean, I was there, but I don't have anything that sticks out in my mind.
I don't really have that many notes for this race. Austin Dillon was in for Austin Hill. He finished 14th. Zilich won stage 1. Chastain won stage 2. There was an incident where Corey Day got loose and slid into Dean Thompson. And they both saved it, but Dean confronted Corey after the race. He was not happy.
That's fair.
Yeah, there was that one incident, too, where Matty D wrecked. And there was lots of smoke and damage, and he was putting oil all over the track, but NASCAR didn't throw the caution until Brandon Jones came around the next lap and wrecked in it.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking there.
Did he just miss it?
They just didn't see it, I guess.
Wow.
Didn't see the oil. Yeah. And then we had Carson Hocevar in for Josh Williams, who just got canned. And Hocevar finished 6th, so we see that maybe Josh was the problem.
Yeah, I mean, the only good thing Josh Williams ever did was act a fool to NASCAR at that race, and we all liked that, but
We all like that.
that was pretty much it.
Yeah, nice guy, likable,
Nice
but yeah,
guy,
really
yeah.
nothing in the car, unfortunately for him. Yeah, I mean, I remember Carson being up front a lot of the day, but really not doing anything of note. And Austin Dillon was, I mean, he was in the top 20. I feel like most of the day, but again, didn't really do anything. It was just a race, and yeah, Sam Mayer won, and that was it. Also, too, while I'm talking about all the food and other shit at the track, so obviously we all know Iowa is like the corn capital, and there's corn marketing stuff all over the place. And I figured, of course they're gonna have some sort of cool corn dishes at the track. Maybe some interesting street corn varieties or whatever. No, not one ear of corn was sold at the track anywhere. And it wasn't until all the racing was over, and like either Sunday night or Monday, like it came to me like, oh, they don't sell corn because as soon as you're finished with it, it becomes a projectile.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, now it makes total sense because, me 10, 15 years ago would have definitely hucked the corn on the track after William Byron won. So
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I can, even though it's stupid, I can still understand why they don't at least do the ears of corn. But in saying that, there's also no other, you could still do different corn things, different corn. There's lots of corn foods you could make, and nothing. Like, they sold kettle corn. That was it. So, come on, guys. Do a better job of marketing your
give us something to throw.
Product. Not even throw, just give me something
projectiles.
to eat.
Sam Mayer getting slapped by a cob while he's standing on his roof.
Yeah, miniature bat day at
Superman
Iowa Speedway.
pose.
Come on, let's go. Give me something.
They did have a guy in a corn costume walking around all weekend that was buff, like a buff corn cob.
He must not have been
Weird.
I didn't see him once. He must have just been in the pits or whatever, because he was not up with the fans or anything like that.
A shame. What a diva.
Yeah.
My only other notes is also talking about the Josh Williams ride. McDowell will be in that car this weekend, and then Justin Haley will be in it at Daytona. So.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's a good pickup. Justin Haley rips at the plate tracks, so that's smart.
So this is dipping into the septic tank a little early, but it kind of makes sense with my timeline. So, like I said, right after Xfinity race, we'd planned on going to Knoxville for the 360 Nationals, and it was about an hour drive, and it wasn't really that difficult or anything like that. You know, we just the timing was such to where we got there a little bit late. Like, we only caught the C through A features, which there wasn't qualifying or anything that night anyways. It was just all features anyway. So, but yeah, driving into Knoxville, I mean, it's very clear how much the track means to the town. I mean, there's just, sprint car stuff on all sorts of buildings and on signs and stuff. And I thought that was pretty interesting just because, unless you're at a place like Indy or Daytona, you don't necessarily see a lot of local businesses and stuff really embracing the sport like that. But, being that we're in Knoxville and it's not like there's a ton of other stuff going on, it made sense. We parked and we went to the Dingus Lounge first because that was right across the street, and it's the famous bar. I've had Dingus Lounge shirts, many from decades.
Yeah, it's legendary.
And but in saying that, it's just like a dive bar. It's a dive bar with a bunch of sprint car panels on the inside of it, and I did think it was funny that they kind of usurped the gas station next door to it, and they had like an outdoor structure built, and the overhang for the gas pumps where there's no gas pumps anymore, but that's where everybody hangs out and drinks, which I just thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, that's cool.
Didn't have time. The one disappointment is we didn't have time to go to the Hall of Fame. That's the one thing I wanted to do the weekend that we didn't get to do. So, I'm sure I'll make it out that way at some point again in my life. So that'll have to wait till next trip. But we get in there and again, going back to track food, that's such an important thing for me. I was very disappointed by their. I got a pork tenderloin, and it was definitely like high school cafeteria quality.
Nice.
So I was a little disappointed by that. I figured their food would be a little bit better. But yeah, we had pretty good seats right by the finish line. There were only a handful of drivers that I really recognized. I know Brent Moffitt was in the C main, but he didn't make it out of that. There were a couple pretty light rollovers, no crazy wrecks or anything. I mean, Knoxville's a pretty wide, flat track. It's pretty fast, but not incredibly high banks. And as someone who isn't as well versed in sprint car racing as say Rob would be or a lot of our friends, it's hard for me necessarily to judge the quality of racing to other tracks. It seemed okay. I've definitely seen better races, but I've seen worse races for sure.
Yeah.
Greg, my friend, he is not really that well versed in sprint car racing at all. And during driver introductions, this is his first time seeing Rico. And, they're doing the introductions, and Greg goes, "Man, he's pretty short, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's a dwarf." And Greg was just blown away by that. So, he was stunned. I guess he didn't realize that's what was going on there. But,
yeah, Rico is short. That's true.
He's a little guy. But
he also won.
He did win. So yeah, the A main itself. I mean, Rico was on the pole. I think Larson was 4th or 5th. I want to say something like that. And Rico jumped out to a big lead. There were a couple of wrecks around the halfway point, and then there was one restart where Rico bobbled in turn 2, and Larson was able to jump out to the lead. And then I think with like 4 or 5 to go, there was another wreck, and then exact opposite happened. Rico jumped out to the lead and took the victory. So good race, good night. Weather was perfect all weekend. This has been, compared to the last handful of years of attending races, this has been the best year for actual race day weather for me in a long time, because there has not been any rain issues at any race I've attended so far. So
Nice.
very nice too. It was just like 70s and perfect all weekend, and we're wearing jeans on Saturday night because it was cooler. So
Perfect.
Very nice to not have to deal with hot shit, gross weather all weekend.
That's perfect.
And yeah, that pretty much, I mean, it was a cool experience. Definitely, I know our buddy Alex was bummed I wasn't staying out for the 410s, but, I don't know what the fuck I would do with myself for a full week in Iowa, because, we had
Try to find a better burger.
Yeah, we had some time to kill both Saturday or Sunday morning and Monday before I left, and there is not a lot to do out in Iowa, that's for sure.
Did you meet any Slipknot fans?
No, didn't see a Slipknot shirt anywhere. Not a one. So I was a little surprised by that. So yeah, after
No Korn, no Slipknot.
no, yeah, nothing. New metal's dead in Iowa apparently. So yeah, that brings us to Sunday, and again, get to the track. Kind of walked. As soon as we walked in, got there around noonish, I want to say. Cody Ware was doing his appearance in the NASCAR fan zone, and kind of just was like, there was nobody there. There's like 20 people there watching him, and afterwards he kind of went over and was mingling with people. It's like, all right, well, I've for some reason over the last couple of years, if there's an opportunity to take a picture with a driver, even if I don't like them or not, like I'm still gonna do it. So we went over and did that, and I was telling Greg earlier last week, Cody put out some sort of weird Q&A video where he's like in an Arby's by himself just answering questions, and one of the questions was about Pokemon, and he gave a very detailed answer, and because he's a massive Pokemon fan, and I have some friends that are Pokemon people. I myself am not a Pokemon person, even though with the wrestling and NASCAR you would think my autism would allow that in, but nope, I've never been any sort of anime fan of any type. But being that I informed Greg of that, he had to ask Cody Ware who his favorite Pokemon was, and I think he said Gengar, where the fuck that is.
Who fucking knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
There are no Pokemon people on this podcast.
I know
Not even close.
he did the voice of the thing in the Arby's video, but again, I don't fucking know.
I thought you were about to say he did the voice to just the two of you standing there.
Did not do the voice to us. No. Let's see. So the NBC USA deal is back for the end of the season, which means Lee Diffie and Jeff Burton are back. We'll talk a little bit about Lee Diffie in our Dart for the Week segment. I'm just gonna leave it at that for now.
Before we get to the race, didn't you also spot your favorite YouTube?
Yes, so that's right. So one of the only other people over at the Cody Ware thing was
Oh, that's where he was.
yeah, the what the hell's the noggin boss himself. What the hell's the kid's name? Vanilla Wafer was over there. He had like a pleather fucking noggin boss on, and he was wearing it backwards, and thankfully I stayed about 30 feet away from him. That's that I could see him from there.
Still within cob chucking distance.
Yeah, if I see that would have been an instance where a cob would have got hooked.
That's what you need it for.
Yeah, that's what you need.
Yeah.
Knocking pleather noggin bosses off.
Yeah.
We gotta start getting ads on this show so we can afford cool shit like that. Not noggin bosses, but implements to throw at rivals, I suppose.
In that picture you sent us, I also saw that he was wearing a custom-made shirt that had all of his social handles on them, and all of his social handles are Vanilla Wafer with just a bunch of different numbers at the end.
Yeah.
But he has like 3 different ones with like a bunch of different numbers at the end. I'm like, why don't you just do the same?
Yeah, 420,
'cause he's
69,
numbers.
182.
He's an idiot and doesn't understand how marketing works. And you are a fucking dork if you walk around with a piece of clothing with all of your social media handles on it.
Counterpoint, we are talking about him on our show right now.
Yep.
Because we hate him.
All press is good press. We're feeding the machine, man.
We're feeding the machine, even though I
listen,
don't remember
we're
what
not-
the random numbers were at the end.
Whatever.
But if you
So
want
now
to see
on
a
a-
picture of this pleather noggin boss, let us know. We'll DM you.
Yep.
Yeah. So on to the race itself. Stage 1, I would say there were some battles in the back of the pack, but it was really just all about watching Brad Keselowski chase down William Byron. And
That was cool.
yeah, that was great to see. And I thought that maybe Byron's car was like going away on longer runs because it took a long time for Brad to actually get to him and pass him. And that's what I thought happened there. But, it also this was a big aero race as far as dirty air being a factor and passing and all that stuff because these cars still fucking suck on short tracks. And this, even though it's almost a mile long, it's still technically a short track. Yeah, so Brad won stage 1. Preece, I thought he was going to be good all weekend, but he had a shit qualifying run, and he really ran in the back of the pack until stage 3 when he made it up to the top 5, which was cool. I'm trying to think, was there anything else notable in stage 1 that I'm missing? I don't think there
really.
There might have been one spin or something, but nothing.
I mean, yeah, all
Van
those early
Gisbergen was
cautions
stage
were just,
2, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, all the main cautions were in stage 3. I mean, stage 2, Brad won that one again. There was Carson Hocevar spun in turn 2 on the white flag lap of stage 2. So NASCAR, because he never hit the wall, he never stopped moving. He turned right back around. So NASCAR let that one play out, which that one was actually okay to let play out as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, this race really, unfortunately, and being in the stands and not really being able to hear commentary or anything, it really came down to fuel mileage and aero, really.
Yeah.
There were passes. Obviously we saw Brian Blaney make his way up, and Bubba made a great run from 36 to 6. I think he ended up finishing, but that was also he got a couple lucky dogs, and all the pit cycles and stuff wasn't just passing on the track. It was a lot of off-track passing, unfortunately.
Were you sitting next to Ryan Blaney's family in the crowd?
Yeah, so before the race started, the TV camera, and I think it was Kim Kuhn, came over, and it turns out, last year when Blaney won, they talked up the fact that there were 40 Blaney family members at the race, and this year they were sitting a couple rows up behind us. And before the race, Kim Kuhn came over and kind of chatted to them for a second, and then they threw the camera towards us, and we all kind of screamed, and we did end up making it to TV at one point during one of the breaks.
Nice.
At Berlin, but
The Woohoo Girls. Hell yeah.
We'll share that clip.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Little 2-second clip, we made it on TV. Stage 3 is where it kind of really started to suck, because there was a period where they got something like 8 cautions and almost consecutively, caution, restart, caution, just over and over again, 1 or 2 people spinning out. Denny spun, Bell and Reddick spun, just all little wrecks all over the fucking place. So that slowed things down quite a bit, and we thought it was going, Keselowski was off sequence a little bit because he stayed out at the end of stage 2 to win that stage, and we thought that was going to kind of help him. It also ended up helping Byron as far as saving gas, because he didn't pit as late as a lot of other people, and there was a chance he was going to run out, but all the cautions kind of allowed him to stay out front, and Briscoe was up there. Keselowski was making his way back up. He was able to get back up to 3rd. Blaney was the fastest car on the track, but people just couldn't fucking pass. So as I've mentioned to Greg, and I've mentioned to plenty of people, the 2 drivers I don't want to see win, Joey Logano and William Byron. I've seen enough of their wins, and they're my 2 least favorite drivers. Well, I got 2 Denny wins this year and a fucking William Byron. So
Perfect.
all that went all the way out to fucking Iowa for a William Byron win. So
Hey, you got to see Rico win a race. That's always fun.
yeah, that was probably the highlight of the weekend, I would say.
Yeah.
I'm sure Aaron Blaney's family behind you wish they had some corn cobs to chuck.
I'm sure of it. Let's see here. Other stuff that happened. Carson Hocevar, he got into Zane Smith and spun him at one point. Zane ended up later in the race trying very hard to get him back and failing miserably.
Yeah.
And then after the race, Zane's crew chief went over and yelled at Carson and told him he was driving like a retard, which you're not supposed to, it's not a word I like to say very often, but you're not supposed to say that. I don't know if he'll get fined or anything like that, but it wasn't on TV or anything. It just was picked up by reporters.
They did give Kyle Busch sensitivity training for that a handful of years ago. So.
That's true.
That could happen, yeah. I mean, he might get some sensitivity training. I mean, it's technically a slur. It's probably the lowest of the slurs to use, but...
It's a low tier, bottom of the triangle, the FDA food triangle of slurs.
On the broadcast, Lee Diffie dubbed him Hurricane Hocevar. So,
which Denny was like, that was my nickname, which it was when he was
30
younger.
years ago.
Yeah.
It's good alliteration, and I get why you would call him that. I don't know if it'll stick, but it's a nickname. This was also the weekend of the King of the Hill car. It was in both races with Joey Gase. Joey Gase finishing multiple laps down in both races and spinning on Sunday.
You guys watch the new season at all?
I haven't
seen
had
the
a chance
first
to.
2 episodes.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I think it's really funny so far. I think they've done a great job, like sticking with, the essence of King of the Hill. But I think my only complaint so far is Dale's voice. I know the first handful of episodes are the original actor before he passed away.
Yeah.
But his voice has changed so much that it's hard. It's a hard listen.
They got Toby Huss doing the other half of the season, and it's also much different, but also I don't think it's horrible. Like he's great. I love him in anything he does. So
I'm excited to finish it. That's for sure.
Yeah. But also too, Carl Long was doing Hank Hill impressions on the radio to Joey during the race, which I couldn't hear, but I guess if you go back and listen to the in car, you can catch that. And there's also a shrimp car. Whose car was that? I forget.
Ty Dillon.
Ty Dillon, that's right. He just had a big old shrimp on the side of his car. He had a
beautiful shrimp all over that thing.
Yeah.
He had a rough day too, though. The Cinderella run ended last week, so now we can stop talking about Ty Dillon.
Yeah, we're back to the regularly scheduled Ty Dillon material.
Other than when he has shrimp on his car. Overall, a good experience. Again, there were definitely some things that sucked, both about the track itself and the racing itself. I would love to say I'd love to go back because I did overall enjoy it, but at the same time, like, it goes back to just me not wanting to go to short track races anymore until they fix this car, because the racing is just not great. And to go through all the effort and money that I spent getting out there,
I'd argue that you're a lot better off spending your money to go to the Nationals if you're going to be going to Iowa at this time of year. But that's just my 2 cents. No surprises coming from me.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got to see Knoxville, though. It's a place that's on my bucket list, and I wish I was going this weekend. And if the tour hadn't happened, I would have been there. But did you get to go to the museum at all? I'm guessing you didn't have time.
No. Like I said, that's the one thing we didn't get to do. Was go to the museum. So that's Iowa in a nutshell. Meanwhile,
speaking
of
NASCAR short track problems.
So this was the weekend of the big. What did they call this race? What do they call this game?
Speedway Classic.
Speedway Classic, and really could have done a better job of weather forecasting and everything, because I know for a fact that the game got rained out on Saturday, and in doing that, they also did a piss poor job of prepping with food and everything. I know by the first inning, I think they were out of cheese, they were out of hot dog buns.
Perfect.
People were calling it the Fire Fest of MLB games, which is funny.
That's
go ahead.
an overreaction, I think, but.
Well, I also saw people were sold tickets that were like behind the field and you couldn't see a thing. So that's not good. And the weather was fine Sunday and they played and it was whatever. So they should have just called it before anybody even got in the fucking stadium and just moved it to Sunday. Like, you guys can forecast this. You gotta, prep for rain and all that stuff. So Why they decided to try it is beyond me. I guess when you have all that money and TV and stuff there, that you have to at least make an effort. But seems like a dumb call by MLB there. But
Yeah, and I want to make it clear, at least from what I gather anyway, that these issues with the event itself, that's not on the track. MLB has their own vendors and et cetera, and their own policies in place to prevent shit like that. So you can't blame SMI or anybody else for most of those problems, or at least to the best of my knowledge anyway, because that's not how the NASCAR events are.
We've both been to Bristol, and there's more people there, and they never have those issues. So clearly it was not an SMI thing.
Yeah, I think the main thing with the food was that, Bristol allows you to bring in your own food, which helps alleviate a lot of the traffic to the vendors, but the MLB did not allow them to bring food on Saturday. But once they ran out and people were just eating Bear Wieners and nacho chips, they told them on Sunday they could bring food in. So but I will say some positives. I watched the whole event, and I really appreciated how much they tried to incorporate like NASCAR themes into it. They had the player intros when they came out on the field. They had like a pit crew car set up next to them that they ran out next to.
That's cool.
And then they put them in the back of pickup trucks and drove them around the track like they do before NASCAR races. And then they had the big flyover during the anthem, which was cool to see the baseball players' reaction to that. On Saturday night, they also had Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch there to help throw out the first pitch with Chipper Jones and some Reds player that I don't know his name. Sorry, I'm not a Reds fan.
That's cool.
But yeah, I think most of the complaints were just from pansy-ass baseball fans who've never suffered through a NASCAR rain delay.
Yeah, welcome.
There were a lot of complaints about shitty internet and merch selling out, so. But yeah, I did think it was a lot of trouble to go through just for one game, though. Like, it would have been cool to see, like, at least the full series.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed.
Apparently, there were NHL executives there, too, that were, like, observing everything, and they're thinking about maybe doing it there, too, so.
Yeah,
sure. A bunch of people, bunch of people
behind home plate.
Yeah, let's drive to Tennessee in the middle of the winter. Let's do it.
Well, those games are usually off season, I think, aren't they?
No, because I know they did one up here at the Browns Stadium a couple of years ago, and it was during. Yeah.
The you know what? I'm just thinking of. Sorry, I get my wires crossed there. They did one in Miami, and people were wearing like shorts and shit watching a hockey game. But it's always hot down there, so that makes more sense. But yeah, I'm not going to the fucking Smokies in the middle of winter. Are you kidding me?
Maybe Dollywood Christmas Jamboree.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. But yeah, Braves won. Go Braves. They also had one more thing. They had anytime there was a home run, they had a car drive around the track with a flag that said home run. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I did hear good reviews about how they really incorporated NASCAR in a positive way. So that's always good. But speaking of graphics, though, what is this IndyCar graphic gone wrong note? I missed that.
I sent it to y'all, I thought. IndyCar posted a graphic that was supposed to say the final stretch.
Oh, yes, the anal stretch. Yeah, that was...
they used.
Yeah, the anal stretch.
I gotta stop using AI, folks. Put a little bit of effort into this.
You gotta run this through multiple people, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that a lot. That got deleted quite quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, but screenshots live forever, so
probably just as fast as the Blaney Dover Delaware graphic got deleted.
Yeah. But IndyCar still aired the Joseph Newgarden Milk Gimp segment live to millions of people a few years ago. So
that's fine. Let the children need to know about BDSM, Rob.
Yeah, I guess so.
Speaking of getting deleted, though, Caden Honeycutt was announced to be let go from Nice Motorsports because he's already signed on with another manufacturer's team next year. Rumor has it it's Tricon. Nothing's confirmed, but that's what the rumor is.
Tricon made a cheeky little social media post too. So
Yeah. Caden's in the battle for the playoffs, and it's a
good,
weird
man.
Yeah, it's
he's sixth right now in points. So
Yeah.
it's a weird petty move to do this, but timing's kind of worked out for him because, as mentioned last week with Stuart Friesen, he's done for the year, and he's in the playoffs, and he's in the owner playoffs also. So by the time the Honeycutt news actually dropped, Christopher Bell had already been announced for Friesen's truck this weekend in Watkins Glen, but Caden's going to take over the truck for the rest of the season starting in Richmond, and I forget who he's going to be with this weekend, but he does have a ride lined up.
The 06,
already.
he's driving for Young this weekend.
Okay, yeah. So he's got a ride lined up, so it's not going to affect his playoff eligibility, because I know that happened with Grant Enfinger a few years ago where he lost his ride even though he's in the playoffs, and NASCAR wouldn't grant him a waiver. So he doesn't have to worry about that. Friesen's got a good driver in the car that'll at least keep him in the hunt for the owner's point, so that's good. So that's kind of all worked out for the better for everybody there.
I thought Zilich was going to be in Honeycutt's ride this weekend.
That's what I thought too.
Yes, he is going to be in Honeycutt's ride this weekend.
Also, Chris Buescher is going to be in the truck race this weekend too.
Yep, it's his truck
first
debut.
Truck race. Yeah.
I might have to see if I can go up to Thor Sport on Tuesday and get a door panel or something from him.
There you go.
There you go.
And then the last note we got here is the Wicked Witch of Mooresville, Teresa Earnhardt's pissing off everybody, including her son-in-law, Carrie, by trying to get like a $30 million,
$30 billion.
$30 billion, trying to sell property to facilitate a $30 billion data mining facility. And Carrie went and posted Dad would have never have done this, and cares about the land too much, and this, that, and the other thing. So Teresa's still keeping things nice and friendly in North Carolina.
Not helping the reputation at all.
Yeah.
Or helping it, depending on which way you look at it. But
Well, last night they had a town hall meeting, and 200 people showed up to protest it, and Teresa was not there, and no one showed up to support it. But there were so many people there that they moved the official hearing to September 15th. So if you're in the Mooresville area and you hate Teresa, September 15th.
Well, hey, that's how Albany Saratoga Speedway is, living another day, because that's what happened with the town there, and people showing up, and just the town in general not really being down with it, and the track is still up for sale. So
it's a perfect example of why local politics matter.
Yes,
right there. While national things may feel futile at times and not representative of what's happening in your town, you actually can have a swing on the way things go in your county and your town. So, yeah. Maybe we'll go. Maybe we'll show up. We'll have an Applebee's meet and greet, and we'll bring our corn cobs. What do you say?
There we go. What am I doing September 15th? I'll be on my way back from Bristol, so maybe I'll stop in.
Stop on in. Say what's up.
So yeah, that pretty much wraps up news and notes, and got the DARF of the week this week for you. And it's someone I've talked about recently on the show. Someone who used to be more than just a dumbass race fan, but that's all he is now. John Kernan, your former RPM Tonight host. On Sunday, after the Cup race, he decided to tweet out this very smart and well thought out statement. I think I'm done with NASCAR. After further review, stage racing sucks, and I'm sure Lee Diffie is a great guy, but if I want to hear that accent, I'll watch Formula One. Sorry, guess I'm xenophobic. And he managed to double down on this multiple times. And I have come to realize, especially looking at the rest of his Twitter feed and just the way he was trying to get people to argue with him about this, he is very clearly engagement farming here. So let's not give him any more attention. He made his little comment and he got people to look at his account, but let him fuck off. Maybe he's broke and maybe he's doing this because he does have a verified account, which means he's paying for Twitter and he wants to make some money off these tweets. So let's just ignore him and leave him in the 90s where he should stay. So John Kernan, I sentence you to death.
Jesus. Dun dun.
Well, can't make money off Twitter if you're dead.
Nope,
so.
I sure can't. Yeah, he had me in the first half, but I mean, we've always had fucking non-American announcers in the booth.
I mean,
so that's kind of a silly point.
I feel like I even said this last year. I mean, it took a second to get used to it, but again, like Rob says, there's been other foreign announcers in NASCAR many times over the years, and he is an amazing play-by-play announcer. No matter what you might hear about how he is off the track
he's good at his job.
Off the mic, but yeah, when he's actually doing his job, he's great at it. So, especially coming from a TV background. But again, he's kind of
David Hobbs was sat next to Ken Squire for years and years in the booth, and no one had a problem with his voice on there. And David he's part of the fabric of NASCAR broadcasting from that era, which is ironically the era that this dude was on RPM Tonight or at least for the first half anyway. So yeah, that's just a silly fucking opinion.
John would much rather listen to Mike Joy, bobble names and fuck things up than somebody who's actually good at their job now. So
I mean, I guess I would too, just because I love Mike Joy. But yeah, Lee's not the guy you're looking for here. No. Not at all.
Yeah. Mike Joy in his prime, maybe.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, of course. So. I don't know how much deeper we're going to dive into the septic tank this week, because Rob, you just got back in the country. So, and I saw.
Should we phone in, buddy, real quick?
Yeah, I saw the
Probably
only
should
bit of
have,
dirt
honestly.
racing. So.
Yeah, all I can tell you is that Brien Shirley won the PDC. I actually did get to watch that, but that was 2 weeks ago. That would have been featured on last week's episode. I didn't actually get to the end of the episode. I just kind of posted it. So
there was nothing featured on last week's episode.
Cool. Brien Shirley won the Predator Classic.
The one thing we forgot to mention is that track that's now paying drivers to fight in front of the grandstands.
Yeah, I forget
That's
which one
the
it
one thing
was.
I forgot about.
And boy, did they. They went after it. Had a nice little Waffle House scuffle on the front stretch, and I loved the shit out of that. We'll post the clip of that, but that was good news. But yeah, Brien Shirley, good for him. Squirrel. It's always good to see him win. And I guess the only other thing I know is that Minnie Terrell picked up $100,000 down at Hickory in that big race. Took him about 3 days to do it, but he did it.
Everybody was there, suffering in the rain.
I hope he brought extra socks, but what a mess. I saw some of the videos that Matthew Dillner was posting about standing in the middle of Lake Hickory and just how fucked up that was. But they did get it in. Pretty classic cars show from what I gather. I only saw the highlights, but some big wrecks and Minnie Terrell winning. Big fights, the whole thing. But, yeah, that's the septic tank this week. Really didn't watch a lot of...
One other thing, I mean, haven't really heard any updates on Brad Sweet as far as his injuries go.
Brad Sweet is back in the car. He's going to be in Knoxville. Yeah.
Okay.
Gio Scelzi has officially replaced. I think we actually talked about this a couple weeks ago, but Gio's in for Sunshine. And I think Reitzel's, he's at the track, and he's not going to be running. He's got a broken leg and a few other injuries. But Tyler Courtney, the biggest one. He was actually on DBC this week. I haven't had a chance to listen to it just yet, but he's healthy enough to talk.
Yeah, I listened to it. He's in good spirits. I mean, he's talked about recovering, but, he seemed pretty positive, and he's like, I plan on being back in the car by February. So
I heard he was shooting for Volusia at best. Yeah, even if he's cleared to drive, he's probably not going to come back this year, just to focus on next year and get fully healed, because we all know how that goes. I mean, this is the second major back injury he's had in the past 3 years, so I think caution is definitely the side of things to err on for Tyler, and of course thoughts and prayers, all that to him. But Gio's going to be in the car for the Knoxville Nationals and for the rest of the year. That's already been established, and that is the big talking point for the rest of the week. Of course, Knoxville fires up on Wednesday night and runs through Sunday, all the prelim nights, and the Hard Knocks night on Friday. It's the show of the year for sprint car racing. Let's take a look at the entry list here, if there's anybody special worth mentioning. I mean, every 410 driver worth their salt is going to be there. I think the big ones to watch out for, obviously Rico Abreu, I think, is probably the odds-on favorite to win the thing. He's been focusing a lot on Knoxville recently, running some local shows, and of course winning the 360s. You're going to see a similar entry list for the 410s as you did the 360 Nationals, with some other locals and sort of one-off guys in there. I would watch out for Gio in the 7BC this weekend. He is a good driver, as much as I don't like him. I think he probably has something to say. Kyle Larson, of course, is so good at Knoxville as well, going for his third in a row. Some other, let's see who else we got here. Darren Pittman coming back out of retirement for the 55th time in the 3L this weekend. 69K not going to be there. That's already been established, though, so no Christopher Bell, unfortunately. Like I already said, Brad Sweet's in the mix. And let's just scan the entry list real quick to see if there's anybody I missed, and it doesn't look like it. I would also keep an eye on Austin McCarl to make the A main. He's always pretty good. He's been running pretty decently lately. But me and my heart, I would love to see Landon Crawley make it out of the C main, but that's just not going to happen. But that's the Knoxville Nationals this weekend, like I said, Wednesday through Saturday on Dirt Vision. One more note for all you annual Dirt Vision subscribers out there. They are doing a cool thing where I forget exactly what they're calling it, but you can kind of choose your own camera angles if you like. It's kind of a take on the Dirt Zone thing they've been doing, where if there's multiple events happening that are drawing a lot of viewership, you can actually select Dirt Zone on the Dirt Vision app, and it'll show you all 4 races at once. I think it's called Dirt Zone. Who knows? But anyway, I watch that from time to time when there's like a late model event happening alongside the World of Outlaws or, Port Royal or whatever. But they're doing one where you can select your own camera angles and kind of choose your own viewing experience, which I'm very much looking forward to giving a shot throughout the week. That's a really cool thing, and I don't think we've seen much of that in the dirt world before. Obviously, NASCAR's got the Max deal. You can fire up all the onboard cameras you want and kind of see what the whole field is up to. They used to do the thing where you could select the battle cam and all that on NASCAR.com. I think that's still around, but I'm not 100% sure. But definitely the first time we've seen this, to the best of my knowledge, in the sprint car world. So that's going to be super cool, and I'm be happy to report back to you on that next week. That's pretty much what I'm going to be watching this weekend. There is some late model racing happening and some other stuff. Willow Modified Tours at Thompson tomorrow night. Or on Wednesday night, because this is going to release on Wednesday. So I might try and go to that, but I'll be honest, I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm so goddamn tired. So we're going to...
You barely made it to the show today.
It's true. It is currently 1 a.m. for me mentally right now. But, that's the Septic Tank. Sorry I don't have more for you. I didn't have a chance to watch much racing aside from the Prairie Dirt Classic, which feels like 6 weeks ago. But again, shout out to Ricky LeDuc. It was cool to talk dirt racing with him out there in the middle of Finland, and hopefully I'll get to see him again at the World coming up here in about a month. And I'm going to drink another one of these Turkish Jim Beam nips to flush this down today. So cheers to you guys. We'll have more for you next week, I promise, when I'm back to being a human again. Cheers.
Mm-hmm.
So video of the week, we had we had some interesting ones this week. Hot on the heels of the death of Hulk Hogan, I wanted to include some racing and wrestling content, and unfortunately, with WWE being so restrictive about pulling clips down on YouTube, kind of really had to dig, because there's definitely a lot more WCW NASCAR content out there, but it's just buried in old episodes, and you really got to dig it up. So I just found a couple clips just to have something to watch. So we'll start off in chronological order. Before the NASCAR stuff, WCW tried to do an angle involving monster trucks. This was the Hulk Hogan segment of the video of the week. So basically the storyline was Halloween Havoc. They were going to do both a regular match with Hulk Hogan and the Giant, otherwise known as the Big Show Paul White. So when the Big Show was first signed to WCW, they played him off as the long-lost son of Andre the Giant, because he has the same disease that Andre had, but he took care of it to where he stopped growing. He got to be a big giant, but like Andre never really got to surgeries, and just kind of unfortunately just lived with it and ended up dying way young, whereas Paul's still around today. But they brought him in as this son of the Giant, and he wanted to avenge Andre's loss at WrestleMania 3, which happened in Detroit, which was the same place where the Halloween Havoc show happened. And also, WCW wanted to get in on the monster truck toy trends, so they decided to do this storyline using monster trucks, where Paul White, the Giant, runs over Hulk Hogan's motorcycle at some show in Asheville, which is the first video. And the video is just, Hulk's getting interviewed. He's sitting on his motorcycle. There's a bunch of fans, and all of a sudden, this monster truck comes around the corner, runs over the motorcycle, and Hulk Hogan, barely reacts to it. He just kind of makes like a slightly pissed off face at the truck doing this and then yells a tiny bit. Very, very top acting from Hulk Hogan. And one other thing with the monster trucks was the monster trucks were furnished by Bigfoot, which if you listen to the commentary on the monster truck sumo match, Bob Chandler, the owner of Bigfoot, is actually on commentary. The truck they used in the motorcycle segment was just a rewrapped Bigfoot truck, but they actually did, they later on did full-on WCW monster trucks. They were trying to lure Hot Wheels in for a toy deal and never came to fruition. So they went to all this trouble to license truck bodies and have trucks go out and run all over the country, and they never got toys out of it. One of many failures by WCW, which is why they died in 2001. But that's getting too into the weeds for wrestling stuff. So the actual sumo match itself, it took place on the roof of Cobo Hall, which was a convention center that was next to the Joe Louis Arena, which is where the pay-per-view was happening. There was already a Hulkster truck running the monster truck circuits at the time, and they created a Dungeon of Doom truck, which Dungeon of Doom was the faction that Hulk Hogan was feuding with at the time. It involved Kevin Sullivan, who famously may or may not have committed the Chris Benoit murders, depending on who you talk to, and the Giant, and I think somebody else. I think Ron Simmons was the other Dungeon of Doom member. And they had the truck. The truck had changed from this just rewrapped Bigfoot body to a full-on 3D fiberglass body with like this rib cage bed and skulls and shit all over it. The quote-unquote match itself, so they welded the two trucks together, supposedly, and they just were supposed to push each other. There was like a ring of cans or cones or something around the track, around this roof, and the objective was to push the other truck completely past the edge. Like they specified both axles had to be pushed over to win the sumo match. And you do get Hogan and the Giant in the trucks, quote unquote, driving, but if you look very closely, and they even say it on the commentary that they have a co-driver to steer the rear wheels, which in reality they were doing all the actual driving. You got to look closely, but you can see like there's a steering wheel on the other side. It's also not how monster trucks work as far as, a co-driver handling the rear wheels. Like that's not what happens in real life.
So the Giant barely fits in there, it looks like.
But yeah, he does barely fit in there.
And that fire suit they made for him, Jesus Christ.
You get Bobby Heenan, who's doing a good job of really playing up all the tropes of the trucks welded together. He goes, what the hell is, I'm trying to look at my quote here. If these things run on alcohol, there could be an explosion out there, which they did have a few little explosive pods set up in the ring, and at one point Hulk's truck gets pushed halfway out and he hits one of the pods and there's an explosion. Eventually, Hulk Hogan ends up winning. He pushes the Giant's truck all the way out. After the sumo match is over, the Giant comes over and confronts Hogan, corners him up against the back, the edge of the building. They get into a little shoving match, and Hulk pushes the Giant off the side of the building. No, he did not die. He still had a match that night, so he ended up surviving. But yeah, that was really this is
ridiculous.
Very ridiculous, and even amongst wrestling fans, this was like god awful. Like the only clip we could find of the actual wrestling match itself on YouTube was this show that was done by former wrestler Zack Ryder. It was put out by WWE in 2013, but he's basically just kind of mocking the thing. But yeah, this is famously like bad. This was just before the NWO era of WCW when they got really hot, and we're gonna get to that in a second. But yeah, this was when everything was real bad. This was when both companies were doing really badly, but WCW was leading a little bit just because they had Hogan, they had Macho Man, they had a lot of these big name guys that WWF had fired the last few years. Very stupid. I wasn't even watching. I was never a WCW kid, so I never watched any of this live. I just remember hearing about it. But yeah, really awful. Just bad stuff. But as non-wrestling fans, what did you guys think?
Well, let's first of all mention the fact that Brien did not watch these videos before he assigned them to us and put them on the playlist, which led to me having to sit through a 6-minute long video of just a guy, a wrestling fan, talking into his cell phone.
You could have told me that.
Nope, I wanted you to sit through it after I had sat through it.
Well, I didn't sit. I watched
I didn't.
The thing is, the video itself, it's just got a screenshot of the match, and I thought, well, that must be the match. So I just put it on the playlist, and it wasn't until I go to watch it, it's just this dipshit talking about it. But luckily, again, the actual match was on there, so we could watch it.
I found the match, I watched it, and then I got invested in the storyline, and I went and found their match that they had later that night on YouTube. So, I mean, as a kid, when I was like 4, 5, 6, I was a big wrestling fan. I watched it a ton with my 2 older cousins. And then when my little brother came along, when he got a little older, he got really into wrestling. So I would kind of just watch it haphazardly with him. But it sent me down a little rabbit hole of trying to find a match that I went to when I was like 4 and saw Ric Flair and Lex Luger, and my favorite wrestler was Elegante. So
he's dead. He was really bad.
Well, when I was 4, he was my favorite because I thought his name was fun to say. But I mean, as someone that likes bad reality TV, it was fine. It was really cheesy and corny, but it kept my attention enough. So.
Yeah, you kind of hit on this a second ago. It just feels like they're doing their best to just find anything to work here. It's just a little too ridiculous for me. I mean, my era was like the SmackDown era from like 99 to 2000, 2001, that sort of thing. And this is just, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was hilarious, but pushing him off the building was, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. The helicopter pan out, the drama. Then he shows up later that night with no injuries.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Hulk does try and save him, though, when he goes off the edge. You see that?
He did. He had a heart for half a second.
Also, too, I didn't mention that Hulk didn't have his famous mustache in this clip, kind of like Earnhardt. I don't think he was scuba diving like Earnhardt. I think he was filming some sort of shitty movie at the time and had to shave it off.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah, it was stupid. So a year later is when the NWO stuff popped off, and the next 2 clips are actually from the debut of the NWO car, and then also Halloween Havoc 96, because in 96 they did run a Halloween Havoc scheme with Jason Keller, who was sponsored by Slim Jim at the time, and obviously Slim Jim had a big involvement in wrestling and Macho Man Randy Savage. So when the NWO debuted, they got hot incredibly fast, and not just inside the world of pro wrestling. It was so popular that it became popular within pop culture, and you had Dennis Rodman joining the NWO, and there are other wrestlers who wear NWO shirts on TV, not wrestlers, athletes and stuff. And this particular clip is them talking about the other athletes that are down with NWO, and Scott Hall, he says, there's only a couple sports left in the NWO. One of them is the redneck dipping skull driving left NASCAR guys. So that's the next sport they want to take over. And Kevin Nash rolls out a NWO Chevy Monte Carlo that's going to be driven by Kyle Petty, who this was the year that they ran the Earnhardt paint scheme, because they'd gotten black flagged for the wreck at Charlotte earlier in the year, and this was one of the reasons why the NWO wanted Kyle Petty, because he's got long hair like us. He's one of us.
Yep.
So
they said
at
he's
this
got
time,
the ponytail.
Yeah, he's got the ponytail. So which I mean, to be fair, Kyle was probably if you're talking about NASCAR drivers that look cool to the outside public, Kyle was probably at the top of the list at the time. So aside from Earnhardt and Gordon, I guess, but he would have been right up there with those guys. So it makes sense. But the second clip, this promo with Macho Man, they did kind of use both cars being sponsored by the different factions a little bit on TV. So they brought out Jason. This was after the race in Charlotte and before the actual Halloween Havoc pay-per-view. And in that race, Kyle Petty ended up wrecking, but Jason Keller ended up getting 10th place. So obviously they're going to use that as, you know, WCW's the better team, the better faction. We did better in the race than you guys did, blah, blah, blah. But it's Macho Man. He comes out screaming, of course, right here's a friend of mine, Jason Keller. And, you know, and he talks about they got a race car driver named Petty. And, you know, he comes from a famous family. And how did they do this weekend? And Jason goes, the only thing they hit was the wall, which kind of a weird line, but I mean, I guess it does the job. And they show the clip of the car wrecking. And then it's just Macho Man kind of shitting on how bad they are. And then asking Jason, well, you didn't hit the wall, did you? Where did you finish? You finished in the top 25, right? And he's like, yes. And kind of goes through, you finished in the top 20, you finished in the top 15, you finished in the top 12. Where'd you end up finishing? And, you know, ends up finishing 10th. And, you know, I think this was, the NWO car didn't run full-time. I mean, obviously Kyle was full-time in the Cup Series, whereas the WCW car...
Like a segment on The Price is Right to me.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Well, I mean, I doubt Macho Man knew a whole lot about NASCAR, so he did the best he could. And they showed a clip of him like handing a tire to the crewman at the track because he was there too for the race. And you know, it was a nice little bit of wrestling shit talking involving NASCAR, which you know, we were just such a WWF family that we should have turned over this, because this was also my height of NASCAR fandom. So you would have thought my stepdad would have been like, let's check this out, but nope, we never watched it as a kid.
Yeah, I never really watched WCW.
No, and the New York was a WWF town, so, or state, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I enjoyed this. What did you guys think?
I thought it was great. I loved it.
I was thinking while watching this that if Jason Keller was in street clothes standing in front of me, I would not know who this man is.
No, not at all.
I thought
it's like he manages an auto zone, you know?
Yeah.
I thought the contrast between Jason being very monotone during this and Randy cocained out of his mind was a nice touch. So, man, I don't really have much to say about it.
No.
I mean, it was
two
entertaining.
very disparate personalities right there.
I was entertained, but it's not much to say.
I'm sure I will dig up some other NASCAR and wrestling clips at some point. Like, I know at some point we got to watch Kyle Busch winning the 24/7 title. There was a feud in like the 2000s with Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston, where for whatever fucking reason Randy Orton bought a stock car and he brought it to Raw one time, and then Kofi Kingston just beat the shit out of it with a hammer. So there will be some other clips I'll dig up at some point, but yeah, I wanted to get some stuff, and I knew I wasn't gonna have a ton of time to watch anything, so you know, nice little short video of the week segment. But this coming week, well, not this coming week, next week, NASCAR's in Richmond, and I picked 2 races to watch, but you know, obviously pick one of them. The 1982, I forget which sponsor it was, but it's the race that Dave Marcus wins, or Spingate. Which one do you guys want to watch?
I'll let Rob pick.
My heart's going Dave Marcus, but I would love to talk about Michael Waltrip.
Well, this was a race I was at, so I've never gone back and watched it. So
let's do Spingate. Fuck it.
Okay, well we're gonna watch Spingate 2013.
That was right when I started getting really back into NASCAR, and I decided I liked Martin Truex, and then immediately after that, his T-shirts, he got fired, and his T-shirts were like $8 at the racetrack. I was like, fuck.
Good time.
So yeah, let's go with that. Let's watch Spingate. I got a lot of shit to say about that.
Okay, so Spingate it is.
Hell yeah.
With that though, so NASCAR is going to be in Watkins Glen this weekend with all 3 series. Between that and the Nationals, we'll have plenty to talk about next week. So, you know, look forward to that. And like I said, Rob, you're not doing any racing stuff. Ashley, you doing any racing stuff this weekend?
No, not this weekend.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a normal weekend at home for me. Back to the weather's supposed to be perfect. There's flea markets to go to, so
Yeah.
I'll just be watching stuff from home this weekend.
Yeah. Hopefully I make it out to Thompson. I haven't gone there in a couple months, and it's been a while. But again, I feel like a fucking ghost at this point. So we'll see how I feel tomorrow after I clock out of work. But yeah, I'll be probably watching that on Flow at home, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Cool. Well, as always, you can follow us at Meet Me at Applebees on Instagram, Meet Me at the Bees on Twitter. I'm Speedway Screens and all the things. SpeedwayTSJ.etsy.com is the shop, and MMA Applebees for 15% off at checkout.
I have nothing to promote, but Snake Mountain Truelove, if you have any great Swedish shrimp mayonnaise sandwich recipes you want to send me,
Oh.
send those right on over.
Well, I might have one for you. Yeah, Rob Motes _ unofficial on Instagram. My band's called These Wild Plains. Again, I already said it at the top of the show, but past couple weeks have been amazing. Definitely nice to feel, not to get too into it, but, touring the U.S. and doing the musician grind here is a little tough. It's not the kindest world to be a part of, especially at our level, and to go be appreciated and taken care of the way we were in Sweden and Finland was definitely life-affirming. It's been about 13 years, something like that, since my last tour across the pond, and to do it again in a completely different genre and get the same or better treatment and response was incredible. And, everyone who put together Rootsy Music, the folks at Haywater Festival, thank you so much for everything. We definitely had a few tears after that one and hugs because it just meant so much to us. And one last shout out to the whole crew of my band and Charlie Marie. And Chuck says she wants to go to Seekonk this year, so I'm going to take her up on that. We're probably going to go to the Haunted 100 or something. She's never been to a race before, and turns out she lives 10 minutes from Seekonk. So
What?
that's right. Yeah. So I'm gonna dip her toes in the short track water.
Yeah.
We're gonna see what's going on. But yeah, I can't think of a better group of people to tour with. We've been doing it for a long time, and to still come out of there smiling and having a good time, and just enjoy the company of your friends that much. And everyone I work with is such a talented individual, and I loved every second of it, and I can't wait to do it again. And hopefully, like I said, I get to see some rally racing next time, because that's what the fuck they do over there, is rally racing. Had a nice conversation about Group B with our driver as well, and I think one of these days we'll have to watch a video about Group B on the show, because that shit was absolutely insane. I don't know if we have or not already, but if you don't know about Group B racing, it was the most insane, violent shit that has ever happened in motorsports. And you've seen the videos of people standing in the middle of the racetrack, so we'll get to that eventually. But again, thank you to everybody. It was a blast. And again, one more shout out to Buddy Pulley for filling in last week and keeping things on track. And I'm sure we'll have him on again. And hopefully he's had a chance to dry his socks out after a weekend at Hickory, because that looked pretty fucking tough.
Don't get pneumonia.
Or scurvy or whatever seaborne disease you can pick up.
Wet foot.
Wet foot. Old wet foot coming to town.
Cool. Well, with that, looks like the check is here. So thanks for joining us again at Applebee's, and we'll talk to y'all next week.